Welcome back to another CSS tips and tricks. In today's video, we'll learn how we can create variables in CSS. For this video, I have right here a section with a class of card, and inside of this section, I have an article element, and inside of this article, I have a H2 heading with 3 paragraphs, and inside of the last paragraph, I have a 2 buttons with a common class of button-primary. In our style sheets, I have defined the CSS for this demo. So in a traditional way, when you are creating your website, for each element that you are targeting, you have to define their value manually. Right here in this demo, for the background color, you can see that I'm using the hash for the white color, and for each element that uses this color, I have to define this value over and over again. In a big project, this process will be very verbose and very tedious. You will have to define a value for a property, and every time you are using the same value, you will have to define it over and over again. For that reason, CSS have a solution that you can use, which is creating CSS variables. CSS variables allows you to define a variable for a property and use it throughout your website. You can create CSS variables to become globally or to become local. Global variables are defined inside of your pseudo element root, while the local variable is defined inside of that element that you are targeting. So inside of this, let's say inside of this card selector right here, I could define my local variable. So first of all, let's see how we can create global variable and how to use them, and then we'll see how to create a local variable. So you come right on top of your CSS, and then let's now define the root selector. And inside of this selector, you can create your CSS variables. To create the CSS variable, you have to start with hyphen, and then the name of your variable. So let's call this first variable, let's call it a white color, and then you come right here and you copy the color and you paste right here. So this is the variable for this white color, and then to use it, you come right here, you use the function that CSS has, that is a var function. This function takes 2 parameters. The first one is required, which is the name of your variable. In our case is this white color. And then the second parameter is the option one, is the default value in case that browser doesn't support this var function. Save it, and you can see right here inside of the body that nothing changed. Now you can come right here, copy this var function and replace anywhere that you are using this white color right here. So let's replace it right here, inside of this button, and then for this button with a class of button-primary. Then save it. Now let's do the same thing for this blue color right here. Now I'm calling this second variable will be column button bg color, and then paste this color hash. Save it. You'll do the same thing, just come right here where we are using this color, and then call this function var with the value of bottom bg color. Then just copy and replace it right here. Save it. And you can use your CSS variables to define, let's say, your padding, your margin, your breakpoints, or any other value that you will need throughout your website. So let's define another one. Now let's define for a gap. So let's call it gap value, or actually gap hyphen value, And now let's give it this value right here of 10 pixel. Now you come right here, use the var function, and then you paste gap value. Let's copy and replace it inside of our card class and inside of our article selector right here. Save it. And now let's see how we can define a local variable. Let's use this selector right here. You come right here, let's call this one bottom bg hover color, and then let's give it this value right here. And now you can come right here using the var and using this class right here. Notice that because we are using local variable, this means that this class will be only available inside of this selector right here. If you try to use it outside of this selector, this won't work, unless you can come right here, copy this class. First of all, let's see if it's working. As you can see right here, when I hover the button, this color will be shown. Now let's see how we can override a global variable value. Let's copy this variable right here. Let's paste it inside of your root selector. And now let's go back inside of this selector and let's change the color to become an even dark color. When you save it, if you hover the button, you will see that this value will be used right here instead of this darker blue right here. So this is how you can override a global variable. Just go inside of that elemental selector that you are using that variable and give it the same name, and you change the value. The value will be overridden inside of that selector. So now finally, let's see the real power of CSS variables. Now let's say we don't want to use this blue color right here, and now we want the color to be red. If you come right here and we save it, any selector that are using this color, the color will be changed. So this is the real power of CSS variables. And by the way, you can use JavaScript to target these CSS variables and change it. Let's say you want your website to have a dark and a light mode. You can use JavaScript to select this selector and change the color according to the user options to change for dark or light mode. So this is it for this video. This is how you can create CSS variables. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and share for more CSS tips and tricks.